Hello, adventurers. My name is Tyler.
And I'm Richard.
On today's episode, we'll be giving our spoiler-filled review of Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
If you haven't seen it, look away.
You've been warned. Welcome to True Strike.
Welcome back, everyone. I have finally seen the new Dungeons and Dragons movie. I thought about baiting and switching everyone again and saying that we were going to talk about the sequel to Dungeons and Dragons 2000, but I figured that was just too mean. It was too mean. We already fooled one of our friends with that one. He legit thought we were talking about the new movie for I don't know how long, but probably too long, and started to wonder why it sounded so much like the crappy one from 2000. So.
Because it was the crappy one.
Because it was, yeah. But no, this is the good one. We finally went and saw it again.
You've basically just spoiled this
Saw
then.
it.
You think this is the good one?
It's good.
You rated the crappy one a 7 out of 10.
I did. Yeah, this one's going to get a higher rating.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. So I
Color
saw
me
it for
shocked.
the first time. You saw it for the second time.
Yes.
Yeah. So we went together.
We did.
Yeah. And I guess, yeah, first thing off the bat, I enjoyed it. I thought it was super fun.
Yeah, let's give us I already did my spoiler-free review a couple episodes ago. Top level, let's do like a minute or two of a spoiler-free from your point of view, and then we're going to dive in full-on Spoilercast for the rest of this episode.
Okay, so spoiler-free, this movie was a movie that could appeal to a very wide audience, which I think says a lot. I went into this, it wasn't just me and Tyler. I brought my wife and child along with me. My wife, who has no experience with Dungeons and Dragons at all. So she didn't know what she was getting into, wasn't sure if she was even going to like the movie because she, like I said, had nothing. She had nothing to go on.
Yeah, I was actually wondering, so not to be like, why did she come? But like, was she interested from the trailers and stuff, or did you kind of make her come?
No, I didn't make her come at all. She saw some of the trailers that were playing, on different various media and stuff like that, and she saw it and she thought it looked interesting. And when I said, hey, we're going to go to the movies, she was like, well, let's all go. And I was like, you want to go? And she was like, yep. So she came with us. And that right there is, I think, kind of the point of that, which is she had no experience with it, came away from that movie having liked it. So she had a lot of fun with it. She thought it was a good movie.
Right.
So, and that's the one good thing about it is that, we were both able to go into that movie with very different perspectives. So I went into this knowing a lot about Dungeons and Dragons and expecting to see a lot of things referenced and looking for things to be referenced and waiting for Worthey to give me the fan service that I so deserved and that I didn't get from the previous Dungeons and Dragons movies other than the arcane trickster Ridley.
Oh, God.
That's all I got was Ridley and Snails. Pour one out for my man. Snails, rest in peace, buddy. We're gonna find you one day. But yeah, I came into this wanting that fan service. She came into this wanting a fun movie, and we both got what we wanted. So we both came away happy and fun time.
Yeah, there's definitely not a lot of high fantasy movies nowadays, and I know she's a fan of Lord of the Rings. So
Yeah. So that didn't hurt me.
right.
This is definitely not Lord of the Rings. It's, a little bit different fantasy.
Oh, for sure.
But still fantasy nonetheless. But yeah, no, I think that was really, really cool that we can have a movie like this that does that double duty. So I think that it's going to do really well among the crowds because you don't have to be a Dungeons and Dragons fan to be a fan of this movie. So that's really cool. The world itself is very well laid out. They do quite well with that. So there's a lot of locations that were very familiar to me, and even locations, like I said, that aren't familiar to her were made to be familiar. The way that they presented them, the way they show everything is very expansive. So the locations are all super memorable. The characters are all super memorable.
For sure.
They're a lot of fun. Everybody, I kind of went in with a little bit of apprehension from some of the casting choices, but overall, really great, strong performances across the board, as well as some cool little mini surprises from some people that I didn't know were in this movie that had cameo spots, which was really fun. But yeah, overall, I liked it a lot, and I think it's going to score well, and I'm excited to see it again, honestly.
All right, well, I think that will do it for our spoiler-free thoughts and opinions segment. You think we should get to the meat of this episode?
Yeah, so if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want to hear spoilers, now is your chance to go watch the movie and come back after you watch it.
Yep, last chance, and be sure to come back after you see it.
Yeah, don't just leave us. Just come back to us after
Go
you
ahead and
see
just
it.
put it on pause.
And then go and send us a voicemail and tell us about how much you liked it or didn't like it so we can talk about it.
Yeah. If you go to anchor.fm/truestrike, there's a little message button there on the page. You can actually leave us voice memos, and we can include those in episodes. As long as, it's all, nice and you're not just a meanie.
Yeah, I guess you technically can go on there and scream obscenities on us. We're not going to use that on the show, but,
you never know.
it's going to hurt Tyler. I'm going to tell you that right now.
It'll only hurt me.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt me.
Richard's a stone wall.
I'm a rock. You can't hurt my feelings.
Right.
Tyler's a sensitive boy.
Very. Last chance. 3,
So-
2, 1.
And here we go. Well, the first thing that I hated was actually... it was before the movie even started.
Okay. Was the trailers?
So, no, the trailers were good. We had some really good stuff in there. Teen Mutant Ninja Turtles.
just
We're not here to talk about
short.
that. It was really good. It was just before the movie actually started where we had the entire cast on
Right.
screen. What we couldn't see was the producers with a gun pointed at them as they sat and were forced to thank us all for being in the movie theater and thanking us for experiencing the movie the way that it was meant to be, in the theater with my $15 bucket of popcorn and telling me that, no, Richard, you're the hero for buying that $15 bucket of popcorn and that $7.95 medium Pepsi. You're the hero, not me, Edgin the Bard. It's you.
He's right.
It was so
It was from the
weird
heart.
and awkward. And this is not it's not just the D&D movie. This is actually a bunch of movies.
Yeah, I'll say they all do this at this
They're
point.
all doing this now. It was weird. It was really weird. And it did not seem like the cast wanted to be there. If you looked over at Sophia Lillis, who plays Doric, she was dying inside during this entire thing. And I'm pretty sure that Justice Smith was like actually shaking because like he could see that the producer was going to shoot if, Chris Pine didn't finish his line about telling me that I'm a hero. So yeah, it was awkward and weird.
I went into this not knowing 100% how your thoughts and feelings of this movie were going to be. I did not think that this spoiler cast would begin with you discussing the little blurb before the movie even began.
Yeah, no, this was before the movie even started. It just felt weird. I don't like it.
Well, I hope this doesn't affect your review of this movie
I
too
hope
harshly.
they had not put that in. I really wish that they wouldn't play that before every movie because I think it makes other people feel awkward.
Just wait till you're watching this on Paramount Plus and they tell you you're the hero for subscribing to Paramount
Yeah,
Plus.
for subscribing to Paramount Plus. You are the real hero. You're the bard, not Edgin. So yeah, no, we get past that. And one of the first things that you said to me when we were talking about the spoiler-free review of this, we were talking about on the episode before, we talked about the old 2001, which was in the first 30 seconds.
How did you bring this up again?
You're going to see, because I'm always going to go back to Snails and Ridley. We're always going to go back to Snails and Ridley. But yeah, you said within the first 30 seconds, you're going to see something that you remember.
Yeah.
You're going to see a location right off the jump.
Mhm.
And they started us right out there in Revel's End, the Supermax prison of D&D, which was
Up there in Icewind Dale.
was really, really cool. And they nailed the visuals. Like,
Yeah.
the only visual that I had from Revel's End was the small picture that is in the module for Rime of the Frost Maiden that was given to us by our DM during it, and the description, right? But then seeing it on the big screen the way it was intended.
Yes, you're a hero.
being the hero that I am, was really cool. It was really neat to see Revel's End. It was really, really cool. Which that's just one of the locations that we got to see during all this, and all of them were really, really good. We got to see a lot of different places and hear about some of them, but we got to see a lot of places like Neverwinter and everything like that. And they did a really good job, I think, of
Evermore's
visualizing all these locations.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything was like right there on spot with the way that I envisioned it.
And I believe last time you'd even asked me, like, do they feel shoehorned in? And I said, no, I defended it. What did you think?
No, they weren't shoehorned in at all. I mean, it's sometimes like, like when they mentioned Baldur's Gate, it was kind of like funny that they're like, oh, we could just take a boat to Baldur's Gate.
That was, like,
that was fan service for sure. But I don't think it was heavy-handed.
No, because those people in the world literally could have just taken a boat to Baldur's Gate. Like, it's a thing they could have feasibly done.
Yeah.
And it actually makes sense. It's fan service to us because it's Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. No, none of it felt like they were just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Right.
Which was really cool because we got to see all these places very organically, which I thought was really neat. One of the cool locations that we got to see, which I don't know if you saw it, was really cool to see Hogwarts again. We got to see the Quidditch lawn, which was super cool. Did you notice that?
The Quidditch lawn.
Yeah. So they obviously filmed this at some of the same locations that they filmed some of the Harry Potter movies.
Look, I wasn't looking for Harry Potter.
I wasn't looking either, but it was there. Okay. I
got to watch it again.
It was the scene where he again was doing his whole lute scene where he danced through the gate and he was playing the lute for a bunch of guards.
Right.
That scene actually took place at I don't remember the name of the castle, but it's one of the places where they filmed Harry Potter.
Of course
and they did the Quidditch lawn where he learned to play Quidditch, and he found out that he was going to be a seeker and all that stuff. That was the location that they used there. They also used
way to ruin it for me.
Some other places like the halls in Neverwinter and stuff like that. Some of those halls were from Hogwarts, so those were locations in Hogwarts.
You've ruined this entire experience for me.
So yeah, those weren't shoot in at all. They visited Hogwarts canon.
Oh God.
Yeah, so that was really, really cool. They also start like right off the jump throwing species at us. So like right there in Revel's End, we get to see the Yuan-Ti very briefly.
Yeah.
We get
which is all you need, really.
Yeah, no, it would have been cool to have them
on the snake
appear
person
more. Yeah, but yeah, they're obviously a prisoner.
Right.
We get to see Dragonborn in that same scene. We get to see Eric Cocker in that same scene.
Jonathan.
We get to see halflings in that same scene. The other person, the only person that I remember on the board was Jonathan.
Yep.
Because he was the best part of
He's the
board.
most important.
Yeah,
member.
the most important member. I'm patiently waiting for the announcement of the made-for-TV series for the universe. We're going to have a spin-off just about Jonathan.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, and it's just going to be about Jonathan and his day-to-day, going into the office at Revel's End and what he has to deal with people trying to throw him out of windows and everything like that. It's going to be a really, really good series.
Don't think they have that fixed at this point.
Super excited for that. But yeah, we got to see a lot of races right off the jump there. Or sorry, not races, species now, right off the jump. We do get to see a bunch more throughout the course of the movie. We see half-elves, elves, humans, hobgoblins, tieflings, wood elves, dwarfs, and tabaxi.
There we go.
Which I hated.
No!
By the way. Yeah. Practical effects.
So the first time I get what you're getting at. So the first time I saw this movie, I saw the tabaxi and was like, wow, this visual effect looks weird. And the second time I saw it, I was like, no, you idiots, because it's practical. This is awesome.
Yeah, so the first time I saw it, I was like, wow, this practical effects looks garbage. And then I looked at the Dragonborn and I was like, they put a lot of work into that. They blew their entire budget on the Dragonborn and Eric Cocker.
I was going to say, Eric Cocker looked great.
Yeah. The tabaxi were probably the worst visual in that entire movie. They did my people dirty.
They stick out for sure.
In a bad way.
And what's interesting, and I'm sure it has to do with like the person in the costume aspect of things, But even the Dragonborn are like extra a little wider than I imagine, and the Tabaxi heads are a little bigger than I imagine. And I think it's because you're building upon a human being.
Well, yeah, you have to build up that all the mechanics that involve moving that stuff around. Because, like you said, it's practical effects, not digital. They just didn't look good. We're looking at
fine.
We're looking at early 2000s Disney animatronics, not the good stuff that they're doing right now with Avatar, where they have the freaky, realistic looking stuff. We're talking about like It's a Small World with fur.
But if I'm gonna pick between pretty good practical versus 2000s D&D virtual.
Yeah, but man, we've got Avatar right now, and this movie had like $150 million budget.
Yeah, but they blew it on
the amount of Tabaxi that were in this. I think I remember seeing them 3 times throughout the entire movie. One of them was a weird floppy baby Tabaxi that came out of a fish.
But also, how much of the budget of this movie went to the amazing vistas around the world versus Avatar in a pool with a green screen behind it?
It's just that, man, the Tabaxi looked rough. They looked really rough, and then luckily they were only on screen for a couple of seconds.
They're already gone.
Each.
They're here and gone again, just like a Tabaxi.
But like, I was excited to see a Tabaxi, and
Yep.
then I saw a Tabaxi and was immediately disappointed.
It pulled the little Tabaxi out, and you said, "Put it back."
Yeah, I was like, "Put it back in the fish. Put it back in the fish." Zach. You don't need to do that.
I did like how he calmed the fish down. The amount of like spells that were subtly used in this film was awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of really cool spells. You had mentioned Simon being a wild magic sorcerer, which was really awesome. That was really fun to watch play out. His component pouch.
Oh my god, his component pouch is such a cool idea.
It was amazing. That was like the best idea.
Spin around like a rotary phone and then just ka-ching, and little materials come out right in his hand. Oh, I love it. I want to steal that.
It was perfect. Yeah, that is such a good use of component pouch that there's no way that's not making it into a home game somewhere near you.
It's already being used right now.
Yeah, that was just so good. But yeah, his the use of spells in this game was really cool. You had talked about it before. Did I say game? It's movie, not a game.
It's all the same.
But
it's circle.
The way that you had talked about how they don't ever really use spells by name, they just kind of do spells.
Yeah.
And then you get to see what those spells do. Was really cool because we get to see a lot of cool spells. Although that is not 100% true. He does try and cast shield multiple times just by streaming shield.
How many times did it work?
Yeah, so he does do that. But some of the spells that I remember seeing.
Actually, what's interesting is the wild magic nature of that. It's basically like anytime he says the spell, that's when it doesn't happen.
That's true.
That's when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's, you could get into filmmaking, the idea of stuff like that. If he didn't say what he was attempting to do and it go wrong.
Oh, true. You wouldn't know what he was going to do.
No.
Yeah.
He would just do a thing, and you'd be like, oh, obviously he meant to reverse gravity.
Yeah. No, he meant to do that. It was fine.
Right. No, he was trying to put up a shield.
He meant to get the crap beat out of him while he was on the ground.
So, I forgive it in that instance.
Yeah,
and
no, that's
for the
good.
most part, like magic missile and stuff. It's just
magic missile. He
happening.
Just shot some stuff out. Yeah,
Yep.
Which was really, really cool. Obviously, we got to see Wild Shape happen like multiple times, which is really neat. We got Magic Missile. We got to see in a later fight Bigby's hand, an iteration of Bigby's hand. Also, Bigby's hand versus Maximilian's Earthen Grasp,
right.
Which that was super cool to see that like on big screen. That was really, really neat.
And of course, they took some liberties with that scene, of course, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's just fun. Yeah, they had to kind of expand the spells a little bit.
That same, oh man, you see so much in that fight. I mean,
oh yeah, there was time stop in that fight. There was lightning bolt in that fight,
yep.
I believe.
Safina uses Misty Step at one point to get up on top of the
oh yeah, that's right, Misty
building.
Step. I didn't even catch that, but now I remember it happening. Yeah, counter spell we see.
Yes,
right there,
which is interesting because it's so subtle.
Yes,
like he's subtle spell cast counter spell, which he's a sorcerer.
Yeah.
That's actually something he can
which
do.
Which is really neat, yeah.
Right.
It was a really fun battle. In a previous battle, we got to see Green Flame Blade.
Yes.
Which was really, really cool.
Times.
Yeah, we see that, which was really neat. We see Speak with Dead.
Oh, that's fun.
Yep. That was like a whole scene, which was super fun.
Perfectly home game accurate.
Yep. We see some Mordenkainen stuff. We see Arcane Seal. We see it applied to a magical item. Mordenkainen's Helm of Disjunction, which was really cool.
Yeah, they had made a few items specific to this movie, and of course now you can go on D&D Beyond and claim these magic items as part of a compendium for free.
Yeah, you can
As
get
part of
those for
promotion.
free,
You
which
can
is
even
really cool.
get some cool dice themed after the Chonky Boy, and use these items at your home game. And they do recommend that all of these items are very powerful and potentially game breaking. So,
Oh yeah, 100%.
word of caution: if you're going to include these, maybe one of them, two, maybe just be careful.
Yeah, no, it's just
Very
neat
strong.
that they put them in D&D Beyond period,
Absolutely.
so that players can have a chance to actually play with them.
And the main cast have all been created as NPCs.
Yes, with their
And-
own stat blocks and all that fun stuff.
which is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So real easy to put those in. Yeah. No, we're jumping around a lot, but that's
Of course.
saying we're talking about mostly references here.
I mean, if you'd like, I could try to burn through kind of like a beginning to end, like Cliff Notes version, and you can stop me at certain points and bring up stuff.
No, I was trying to think if there's anything else that I saw that was kind of cool and referencey and Easter eggy. We saw Sending Stones
Yes.
being used, yeah,
Wonderfully.
which was really cool. We did see that. We already talked about the magic that we saw and everything like that. We saw a lot of cool creatures that I didn't know were in this movie.
Mhm.
I expected the ones that we saw in the trailer, right?
Displacer Beast,
So the
Gelatinous
Displacer
Cube.
Beast and the Gelatinous Cube and a Mimic. But we also got to see Axe Beaks.
Yes.
Both babies and regular size.
Deer.
We got to see deer, flies. We got to see a black dragon.
Yeah.
We got to see a red dragon.
Yes.
We got to see intellect devourers.
Mm-hmm.
We got to
Great
see
scene.
spiders, big spiders, giant spiders. We got to see very briefly. I don't know exactly what they're called. I think they're called rust eaters.
Yes.
If that's their full name. Okay. Yeah, we got to see those very briefly in Neverwinter eating a piece of a sign, it looked like, which was really cool. So yeah, we got to see a lot of really cool creatures, which was really neat. We also got to see a lot of technology, that high fantasy, but also magic-y technology throughout the universe, which was really cool, especially when we get to places like Neverwinter and we get to see light sources. We get to see essentially like ships and stuff like that. We get to see balloons. We get to see a lot of cool tech.
By the way, I was wrong. It's Rust Monster.
Oh, Rust Monster.
Yeah.
Okay, well, close enough.
I like yours better.
Yeah, Rust Eaters,
Sounds
because
much
they
better.
eat the rust. Yeah, but no, that was cool to see those. That it's stuff like that, like the Rust Eaters and the Axe Beaks.
Yeah.
Well, I call them Rust Eaters, and the Axe Beaks are really cool to see because they're definitely things that they didn't have to include.
Sure.
Like, who's going to really notice a rust monster in a background of a scene that people are just walking through? Obviously, me. But it's just kind of a cool thing to put in there that wasn't necessary, but
Right.
is really cool to see. Yeah, do you want to give us a quick synopsis of the movie as a whole, since we kind of glossed over that and immediately started talking about Easter eggs?
Sure. I guess starting from the top, and feel free to interject at any moment. And I assume you're going to a lot because I'm
Interrupt
going to speed past stuff probably and miss things. All right. So first off, we start at Revel's End. There's a dude being brought up. He goes in the cell, and he's like, hey, don't talk to her while she's eating a potato. She gets really angry. And then he's like, but she's a girl, and I want to touch her. And she's like, nope. And she beats his ass. After that, they are pleading. Edgin and Holga are pleading, attempting to get their release from Revel's End. And they really just want Jonathan to be there, man. He has to be there. He's really going to, get them. He's going to, it's just very important for him being there. Jonathan, of course, is running late because of the snowy conditions of Icewind Dale. Well, we go into some backstory stuff, mostly about how Edgin has a kid. Her name is Kira. It's an adorable family relationship. Also, he used to be a part of the Harpers. His wife is killed because of a mistake he made. Kira never knows her mom. Blah, 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 blah. Please let us go. We've learned. Blah, blah, blah. They get betrayed by Safina. And then, they're here now. Prison. Jonathan shows up. Thankfully, Jonathan is there now. And this gives Edgin and Holga the moment to give him a nice little hug. And then immediately run him out of a window to escape.
Yeah, which was super fun.
Huh.
And a really good opening to the movie.
Yes.
I think it was a good lead-in from exposition, so we get to know about the main characters and get to kind of know Edgin and Holga as like the starting party essentially.
It's done very well. It sets up Holga as a quiet but like speaks her mind character,
Yeah,
and Edgin has just the talkative bard he is, and he's got a plan from the get go. And it's kind of fun as an audience member trying to like, okay, what's he up to?
yeah. No, and like I said, it really does a good job of introducing us to these characters and figuring out where they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez, when I first saw the casting, I was like, Chris Pine, okay. Is it going to be great? Who knows? And surprise, surprise, great duo.
They were wonderful together.
They
The
were
chemistry.
so great together. And Edgin and Holga
Chef's kiss.
as the two main characters, arguably, of the story. Great payoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, after escaping, they end up looking for Kira. She's been staying with Forge, one of the ex-party members. Finding out he's become the Lord of Neverwinter somehow. They go there. They find her. She's all like, "Oh, Holga, I missed you so much." And Holga's like, "Come here, bug." And they hug it out. And then Edgin's like, "Baby girl, come here. Give me daddy some sugar." And she's like, "Hi, Dad." And he's like, "Oh, wow, weird." Turns out she's like, upset with him. She's like, "Yeah, you left me or whatever." And he's like, "Oh, weird." Well, then Ford shows up and he's like, "Oh, friends, it's nice to see you, blah, blah, blah." We skip around a bit. Turns out this red wizard lady, Safina's still there, though they don't know she's a red wizard, but Forge does. They've got some sort of plan. We'll figure that out later. Well, it turns out that Kira's not super excited to see her dad, as Forge has been telling her lies that the reason he left was for riches, when really it was to bring back her, deceased mother. She doesn't believe her father, so she leaves the room, and then getting all angry and upset, of course, Edgin and Olga go to approach Forge, and when they do, Safina uses a spell, molding the earth underneath them, dropping them into like a sandpit, which...
Hey, that's not the first time we've seen that.
Right.
Yeah, it's a callback to Dungeons & Dragons
Right.
2000.
Yep.
Where Ridley and... not Ridley. Snails gets caught in the dirt rug.
In the oatmeal from that movie, it actually looked like sand in this one.
Yeah. Nice Easter egg for Dungeons & Dragons 2000.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, to be fair, Dungeons & Dragons 2000 had an Easter egg for this one. They say honor among thieves.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
It's full circle. Well, next thing you know, they're being brought outside to be beheaded. Something about some oil, blah, 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 an axe. Well, Holga beats his guards' butts, and then Edgin shows up at the last second to defeat the last one with his loot. It's funny. It just sums up the relationship between these two characters even more, building upon that. And God, I love these two characters. Chemistry is amazing. After that, man, we need to figure out a way to get Kira back. How about we send a message on an arrow? Well, what if that kills Kira? That's a risk we're going to have to take. I don't know if killing my daughters... It's such a good... I love this movie. All right, then we got to go. Let's go. We got to get some people. We got to build up this party, right? We got to get some other players in this game. Well, what about Simon, the sorcerer? Boom, you go find Simon. He's doing some really powerful magic, right? He's got a little bit of fire on his fingertip. He does a Critical Role Campaign 3 reference with the smell of fresh cut grass.
I was very surprised that they put that in there. Didn't expect that at all.
He uses, we didn't even mention this earlier, he uses the blur spell to make himself
Oh, yeah, another spell, blur.
slightly blurry,
Yeah.
which is so good.
Which is very, very good. I loved it.
They go in there. They're like, "Oh, there he is. He's stealing some money and stuff and whatever. Stuff goes wrong. Blah, 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 blah. Now he's trying to get away. The guy's on top of him, tries to use the shield spell, and whoops, wild magic. Now he's on the ceiling. They're on the ceiling. He drops to the floor. Blah blah blah. He's trying to get up, and then boo, he's out in the sky. Blah, blah, blah. He's on the ceiling. Blah blah blah. He's rolling off. Bam, they're all together. They're rolling away. All right, next we need to get a druid. Right? Druid sounds good. They can get investigate and stuff. Oh well, lo and behold, Simon attempted to court a druid. It didn't go well because he's not a very confident person, but he knows where she is. this is where we introduced to Doric, who is not the young lady attached to the tree. She is the horse. Then transforming into an owlbear, as druids can do, obviously. She stands up, tears some guards, bit to bit, blood and gore everywhere. You won't know if this is true unless you've seen the movie. Then they talk her into joining the crew because, you want to join us? She's like, no, I don't like humans. I'm a tiefling. I had human parents, and they were like, blah, but like, I joined the Emerald Enclave, and they've been good to me. Yeah, well, we're going to go fight Forge. And she's all like, oh, Forge sucks. He's destroying the forest. I'm in. And boom, you got a party. Strong party of 4, just as the rules called for in this module. Now, she goes, investigating as a fly at first, checking out the vault that Sophina and Forge have set up in Neverwinter. And Sophina's all like, yeah, this is a Mordenkainen set up, this is a Mordenkainen seal. It's pretty strong. And they're like, oh, okay. What's that mean? And Forge is like, it's strong, whatever. Well, boom! There's a fly amidst us. It's a wild shape. There's a wild shape amongst us. And then she does this really creepy scream, and a little cool chase sequence goes on.
Yeah, that scream was totally a jump scare.
Oh, yes. There's a couple of those.
That, yeah.
Well, there's another one of those during the Speak with Dead.
Yeah.
So,
the scene with the wild shape was one of the best scenes of the movie, I think, honestly. It was essentially a one-shot of different wild shapes of Doric escaping the castle.
Would you say too many wild shapes?
With Sophina chasing her. That was way too many wild shapes in one day. But we don't really know because the UA for that hasn't been like changed or anything like that. So maybe we're getting a lot more wild shapes in a given day.
Sure.
I mean, we got Owlbear out of the movie.
Yeah.
So maybe we're just getting, 24 wild shapes in a day.
Right.
That's cool. But it was a very cool shot because it was essentially a chase scene from the vault all the way out of the city with her wild shaping willy-nilly to try and escape, which, I mean, probably would have been easier just to wild shape into a bird and just fly away. But she does that at one point and then decides
almost gets shot with a billion arrows.
Being a bird isn't cool enough. And
her AC was great, or their rolls were bad because she dodged like 10 arrows.
Yeah, but that was a really cool scene. Like I said, it was technically not a one-shot because there was a lot of CG involved, but it was shot as a one-shot. So you're following her through the entire scene, changing scenery, going from building to building, room to room.
Sophina gets out of the castle so quickly.
And on a horse.
Yep.
She's out of the castle on a horse, walking through the city in a matter of about 40 seconds.
Right.
I don't know how she caught up that fast. Well, actually, I do because she's a
magic.
red wizard.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how she caught up so fast. But yeah, very cool scene.
She dimension doored to the stables.
Yes.
Hopped on a horse.
And then dimension doored the horse to the market.
Yeah. And then the most important scene from this whole moment, she becomes a deer.
Yes.
And deers away.
As
deers do. We go back to Holga and Chris Pine? Edgin. We go back to Holga and Edgin talking about things. She's all like, ha, she was a deer. Great moment, as always. And then they're like, yeah, well, we gotta get in there. And Simon's all like, nah, we ain't getting in there. This is Mordenkainen. And they're like, well, the only way we can get in there, then we have this helmet. And they're like, oh, this helmet doesn't exist. But no one knows where it is. Turns out Holga knows where it is. Her ancestors knew, or her tribe knew where it was. And she's all like, yo, let's just go ask them. There's a bunch of, but, they're like dead. How are we going to ask them? Well, guess what, Simon? Turns out magic can answer all your questions, can do anything. Maybe not pay for the tab, but it can talk to dead, speak with dead. So they get up, they go. Holga's like, yo, I got to talk to my ex real quick. And they're like, oh, okay. He goes in there. It's one of those funny little moments where she goes in there and turns out her ex is a halfling. It's a cute moment between them, and you figure out, she left her tribe, was banished from them to be with him because, he's different. He's a halfling. Well, then she was sad and drank all the time because she was exiled from her tribe. So he left her. And there's your little sad backstory for who Holga Kilgore is.
Yeah, but we get to see Bradley Cooper as a halfling.
It's very unexpected.
Which is great. I did not expect Bradley Cooper in this
I
movie.
mean, who would have?
Had no idea that he was going to show up. At the very least, show up as a halfling.
It's such a good moment, though.
Yeah, no, it was good. I liked it.
Well, and while she's there, she takes back a walking stick she had given him. This comes into play later. Then they get to the Evermores, where they start digging up a grave. You get to ask it 5 questions. Seems rudimentary, blah, blah, blah. They, start questioning him. Like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Were you here? Like, yeah. Cool. 4 more questions? Yeah. Don't answer this question. Okay. Like, it's just the very much the DM is listening for every mistake you make in your wording, and each one counts as a question. And next thing you know, they've burned through their 5, and where's the shovel?
Yeah, and that was one of the main scenes that they teasered in some of the trailers and everything like that, which was super funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it could have just been that, and they could have moved on from the gag, but they managed to turn that into a whole nice long scene of talking to all these different dead people in the Evermore, so all these different tribe members that were alive during the war. And it was great because it gave us a lot of funny moments and also was pushing the plot along.
Yeah,
as to
exposition with
tracking
comedy.
down the helm.
Done very well.
And when we get to see Raycor, the Black Dragon, we get a couple of flashbacks of the actual war that they're participating in, where everybody died, where the undead army had a Black Dragon in their employ, and he's just acid burning everybody up, which was really cool.
Yep. Not cool for them, but cool for us. Towards the end, you realize, oh, where's the helm? It was given to this Thayan paladin named Zinc. Dang it, Edgin says. I don't trust them. Gotta find something else. And they're all like, yeah, but like, I've heard of him. He's a pretty cool guy. And every single person in the party has heard of him. Guess what? He's a pretty cool guy. Fine. Guess we'll go find this pretty cool guy. Well, they find the pretty cool guy. Zinc's coming up. I think he takes his shirt off at one point. He's adorable and glorious all in the same moment. He calms this big fish, opens up its toothy maw, removes a arguably decent looking practical tabaxi child.
We'll go with that.
Hands it to its less arguably decent looking tabaxi parent, and then puts his shirt back on and leaves.
I don't think he was shirtless during the scenes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he just had his
vividly
shirt. No,
remember no shirt.
No. That didn't happen. That's probably what you wanted to happen, but it's not what happened. He was wearing a nice flowy Renaissance shirt. But yes, definitely shirted.
I don't know. I mean, we might have watched different editions. Yeah, I remember a lot of.
I do remember the horrible tabaxi though. Yeah.
No, same movie. Okay, so they chase down Zinc, and they're all like, "Yo, you Zinc," and he's like, "I don't discuss my name without knowing your name." And they're all like, "Yeah, we're these people," and he's like, "Cool." And then he says a whole bunch of things really bluntly. I wish I could quote them because they're all super quotable and amazing, but I haven't seen the movie enough times yet. Richard, do you have any quotes?
No.
Dang it.
He's probably one of the best characters in the entire movie. So yeah,
he's amazing.
Quite amazing.
So they're all like, "Yo, we need this helm." He's like, "Eh." And they're like, "We're trying to take on Forge." And he's like, "Oh, okay. It's in the Underdark. Follow me to the orifice." The orifice? Yes, the orifice. He proceeds to grab a rope, do a no-look trust fall into the orifice, not bashing his head to any of the rocks along the way, because paladins are awesome. They all jump in the hole. I say jump in the hole loosely. Justice Smith goes last, because why wouldn't you? Inside, they're approaching the Underdark. There's very cool visuals. This is where you see the intellect devours. It offends Edgin because they're attracted to high intelligence, and their walking brains just keep on walking by. It's kind of hurtful. Inside here, we see a wonderful take on a puzzle meant to stoop the party, where you must step on every even-numbered step, but only every other even-numbered step. About halfway through, the steps must be unilaterally 14 stairs apart. But then at halfway point, you switch to the odd number steps and you keep up the pattern. And then Simon steps on the first part of the bridge and the whole thing just collapses.
Yeah, that was a great comedic moment.
Yes.
Loved it.
So good. This is why when you build your games, you have to look up puzzles for children and implement those. It's too complicated. Never work. Even with the DMPC guiding them through it. Now, lo and behold, with no other way to get across, Holga's got this walking stick. Ha! Simon says. That is no mere walking stick. That is and this is the best named item in this movie, a hither-thither staff.
Which is now in the game.
Yes.
Super cool.
It is a portal gun that can shoot 2 portals up to 1,500 feet away, and the portals will still be connected after that point up to a mile apart, including being attached to moving objects, which is insane.
Yeah, it's incredibly broken as far as items go.
Yeah, you do this 4 times a day. You've got some charges reset, blah, 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 blah. It's crazy.
It's cool, but it's crazy powerful.
All right. So they use the portal thing. They go across, blah, blah, blah. They find the helmet. They're like, cool helmet. They turn around. Oh, snap. Turns out Safina sent some murdery people after the party. And they're like, whoa, my sword is green and on fire. It's a green flames blade. And they're like, whoa. Well, luckily our DMPC, Zinc, can go in there. Just beats them all up. Wins the battle. Cool sword that turns into a dagger. It's pretty neat. I want it in the game. That sword actually sounds really freaking cool. Well, for whatever reason, he did this fight because the bad guys are just literally back up in 10 seconds. And he's like, oh, it's hard to kill what's already dead. Like, literally, they're standing up by the time he finishes that sentence. There was no urgency to leave the room.
It was more just to slow them down.
Did it slow him down?
Well, I mean, it did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Why didn't he tell the party to leave while he fought him?
They were in the process of leaving.
Sure.
It worked.
Okay. Well, then they're like, all right, let's run up this hill of bones towards the bones. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not questionable at all.
And then who do we see or feel or hear? But Thimberchod, the red dragon,
The big boy.
the chonkers. And he rolls his pudgy whittle self out the tunnel opening. I don't know how he got in there.
He makes it bigger.
Yeah, he gets bigger. And then proceeds to slide belly first towards the party and baddies, munching who he can along the way. And this is just a wonderful scene of comedic moments of this pudgy little dragon trying to munch on everybody. And it's fun. And there's actually stakes because he is a dragon.
Yeah,
He's powerful.
He's just a big fat dragon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a really good chase scene. A lot of funny moments, and just generally a good scene all over.
Yep.
Yeah,
These
Thimberchod was
undead
cool.
Thayan soldiers get taken down. The party gets trapped in a cave. And this is a moment where Egan reawakens his Harper mentality or whatever. And, oh, well, he's going to hit him. He'll fill the room with gas because, this dragon can only blow gas. He doesn't actually spark it. So, Simon, you remember how to do that fire thing? He's like, yeah, what, my little finger on fire? A little hot finger? And he's like, yeah, your hot finger. Do the hot finger. So they hit it. The room's filled with water. They go into the water. He puts his finger up and then I probably just blew up my pop filter. Then they're swimming in the ocean, hopefully near a beach. Otherwise, if they were stuck in the middle of the ocean, they're probably going to die. Oh, look, there's the beach right there.
Well,
Thank
they wouldn't be in
goodness.
the middle of the ocean. They weren't walking for weeks.
They
in
hither
the
thither.
Underdark.
Who knows? It could be so far. Distance works different in the Underdark. Well, they get back up top. Luckily, they've got Zinc with them. He seems like a great addition to the party. He'll be able to help them beat. Oh, Zinc left. Just right over the rock. He's gone.
Yeah, he's too powerful. They can't
He's
keep
too
him around.
powerful. I assume the players were tired of this DMPC taking up all the spotlight. But then at the last moment, we're maybe like, well, crap, it is a lot easier with him around. And the DM was like, no, you're right. He's got to go because of that reason. And just watch him walk away. Next, Simon, you got to tune to this helmet that we just worked so hard to get. Simon's like, okay. And this film takes an unique way of looking at attunement. instead of just snuggling up next to his helmet for a half hour or so, he puts it on and and then, oh, who does he see? Oh, this guy, this old guy. Ah, he's got the same name as his great-great-grandpa or whatever. And he's like, yeah, you can't attune to that. You're a little. And he's like, I'm not a. And then he gets psychically knocked across the beach. I swear to goodness, about to break his neck. That poor.
Yeah, I don't like this attunement at all.
Really?
I like it better if you just do an hour and then it's yours.
Well, I mean,
I don't want to fight for my attunement.
I don't know how that would work in film, though. Guys, I just need a half hour and a wank, and
Yeah, that's
I'll
it.
be good to go.
Yeah, we're good.
I think I'm going to start making you guys roll for 2 minutes in game.
I'm going to make you fight somebody in your
gonna make you
mind
fight.
for attunement.
You want to tune to those boots that make you jump farther? You got to fight for it. So, they can't do it. Simon's just, I'm not confident enough. Like, okay, that sucks. Well, then eventually the party's like, yeah, dude, this ain't going to work. We're leaving. And Edgin's all like, but guys. And they're like, fine, we'll do it. So they come up with plan B. Because, Edgin's sad. Then, plan B, Hitherstaff. Get, what if we get treasure into the vault? And then, that's got to be easier than getting treasure out of the vault. So, the brilliant plan. What if we purchase a painting? We put a portal on the painting. And they get the painting into the vault. That's what they're going to do. And that's exactly what they do. Do. Through a series of what's-its and who's-its, they manage to get a portal into the painting inside of a cart that is dropped off at the room. Or is it? Well, unfortunately, the painting is falls face first, and they are unable to step through it because of this. Doric is all like, yo, I'm going to just keep chipping at this thing and get inside. And the other ones are like, all right, cool. We're going to go back to plan A, which is now plan C, because plan A has a stink. And then they're all like, let's get back in that thing. They try to get in the thing. Edgin's like, I'm going to grab my daughter. He goes grab his daughter. He's like, what up, daughter? And she's like, daddy. Ha, ha, ha. Turns out she's Sophina. Oh, no, it's a trap. She grabs him. The other two are like, cool. Holga has a really cool fight scene. Her axe is all like, melty. And then he's all like, I can't tune to this helmet. And then some people are like, we're going to kill you if you don't tune to this helmet. And he's like, and he tunes to the helmet. Turns out it wasn't his great-grandfather. It was himself all along. He was fighting his own self-confidence. And then he does it. He punches himself in the head, unleashing a very powerful aura from this magical helmet that is very powerful. And just all the magical lamps and stuff around the city fall to the ground. It's neat. Disables the seal. He gets inside. And him and Holger are like, it's not in here. And then Doric's like, what do you guys mean? I'm also in the room because she turned into a worm and crawled through the painting thing. And is like, but there's so much treasure here. I'm underneath the arena. Also, I hear water. Well, she's sneaking out there, sees they're loading the treasure on the boat. Bam, they knock her unconscious. Through some clever talking, Edgin's all like, yo, you should give us a second chance instead of just murdering us right now. Put us in the game. And they're like, all right, cool, we'll put you in the game. They put him in the game. We see some old characters from a cartoon show from D&D. That was neat.
That was a cool Easter egg, being able to see the old cartoon Dungeons & Dragons characters fighting for their life in the High Sun games.
Now participating in the High Sun games, it's all these little thingy thing. They got to get to the center inside this cage so the Displacer Beast doesn't devour them. Also, in this puzzle, you've got your gelatinous cube, you've got your mimic. There's some fun little whoops right there. Eventually, they're like, we got to get, this isn't going to work. We can't just keep doing this thing. We got to get we got to think of a plan, I don't know, D or whatever. So they're like, let's jump in this gelatinous cube and things will be fine. They jump in the gelatinous cube, blah, blah, downstairs. Then they're like, we're downstairs. Here's the treasure. Here's the boat. Let's do it. Well, this is where they confront Forge, who is trying to leave the city with Edgin's daughter, Kira. And she's all like, what are you doing here? And he's all like, but daughter, I have the talisman of reawakening. And she's like, but that just gives you money. And he's like, no, it'll bring back your mom. And Forge is like, gosh dang it, I thought I had gotten y'all. I'm going to kill you, Kira, if you guys don't leave. And she's like, but Forge. And luckily, there is a potato nearby, which Holga is able to throw as a improvised weapon at Forge, stunning him for a mere moment. They're able to get away on the boat with Kira. Everything's great. The movie ends. Credits roll. Oh, wait. beckoning death. This red mist from hell
They forgot about Safina.
is coming down from the sky. It's going to murder everybody.
Unless they murder Safina.
Yep. So they got to go back. The movie's still going, which is great. It's a good movie. Go back. Blah, blah, blah. How are we going to get all the people out of the stadium? Oh, what if we use the hither thither and we make all the treasure for in this boat drop out of an air balloon that looks like Forge's space hole, and all the people are like, cool, we're going to leave, not because of the red, scary death mist, but because we want that money.
Because they want to get rich.
Yup, and that's exactly what they do. Safina looks around and is like, what, there's no one here turning into zombies. What the heck? So she's all like, oh, man. The party shows up. She shows up. She's all like, meteor swarm, but like purposely doesn't hit any of them, I guess. Just destroys things near them.
It's more of a shock and awe spell.
Yeah, and she's like, aha, beware my power. And they're like, oh, dang, good thing she used her high-level spells out the get-go. As long as she doesn't have a time stop, we're good. They proceed to get into a fight. She animates object. This dragon's all like, I'm gonna get you. And he's like, ah, and they have a little fight, blah, 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 blah. Things are fun. This is a fun fight.
No, it's a really good fight.
Yeah. My favorite parts are, again, utilizing his loot in a melee fashion.
Yes.
Because this bard
Smacking somebody
doesn't
with
have
loot.
any spells. He is just there for planning, humor, and an occasional thwonk with his loot.
Hey, if it works, it works.
It's so fun. Well, Safina, knowing that she can just freeze these foos and then finger of death some people, does so. And right before she touches Edgin, he starts laughing because she's got sticky breath. Everyone's like, whoa, that good thing you countered that spell, Simon. Simon's all like, ha, I've gotten better. Great line. Love that line. No problems with the delivery of that line. Good job, Justice. Honestly, you were good in this movie. They then, what is next? Okay, the Hulk grabs Loki. He slams him into the ground repeatedly over and over again. It's like he's going to get back up for a second, and then the Hulk keeps slamming Loki into Loki over again, over again, over again. Oh, wait, sorry. That was that was Doric the Owlbear doing that to Safina.
I thought it was better than the Hulk scene.
I mean, because it's an owlbear and a red wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. But it's the same scene.
Acceptable.
Yeah. Everything's fine. Happy ending. Oh, wait. Somehow, even though no one saw the red wizard have a dagger, she daggered Holga. Somehow.
That daggers.
When did this happen?
Flying everywhere. It was.
She threw no daggers.
It was a very
I
busy
never saw
fight
this.
scene. There was somewhere in there.
Where? I watched this twice and I looked for it the second time and I never saw it. I'm not saying it's not there, but where was it?
Look, it didn't make the cut, okay?
I swear, Holga was over on the corner like, man, what would happen? I bet you I could take this. You know? I've heard bad news about these red wizard blades.
It
these
probably
daggers.
won't do anything to me.
I'll be fine.
Just give herself a little tiny poke.
God. Yep, shouldn't have done that. Well, she dies. It's sad. They like sing a little song, and then, you know, Egan's like, "Oh shoot, I have this talisman I was gonna use to bring back your mom," and then he flashes back to all the memories that the daughter has with Holga, and oh my goodness, Holga was her mom all along. Well, they bring her back. She's back. She's like, "Don't tell me you wasted it on me," and well, they did, and she's back, and her, player doesn't get to make a new character. I really hope she likes this one, and she seems fun to play. So, like, I bet she does.
She's stuck with Holga.
I mean, the main thing is maybe she picked a barbarian because she wanted something simple because she was a newer player and she wanted to branch out a little bit more. Now she doesn't get that chance, but hey, Holga's fun. I want a Holga in my party. After that, we skip forward a little bit. Lord of Neverwinter wakes up now that the Red Wizard that was keeping him under slumber is all like, she's gone. So now he's awake, and he's all like, you guys are heroes. And he gives them, badges, whatever. Forge is now in Revel's End. We're back there. And he's pleading to the council and Jonathan. And, well, if we go back, it started with my mother. And it turns out his mother was kind of mean to him, and they cut him off. And they're like, look, dude, you're denied. You're still here. Well, meetings adjourn. Jonathan gets up, and Forge is like, aha! And he grabs Jonathan and attempts to bust out the window, and Jonathan! And no, it turns out they've learned from that mistake, and it's just a brick wall, and poor Jonathan gets slammed into a brick wall.
No more windows in the probation office.
Yep. And that's where we end this film.
Yeah. Which was a lot of fun.
It was.
Yeah, it was really, really good. It's there's a good ending to it. Start to finish, it really did have that feel of an actual campaign.
Yes, that's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
Is that I could see every single bit of this film happening in game, and I can associate what roles the players would be making to have done anything in this.
Yeah, to do the things that they did. And even all the way up to the part where the, as you mentioned, DMPC, Zank comes in because the characters are about to take this campaign off the rails. And they are about to go do something stupid instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing. And the DM has to intervene with his DMPC. And we get Zank coming into the scene to just make sure that they're not going to die. They're going to go where they need to go, get the MacGuffin that they need to get to, move things along. Reggae Jean Page was Zank, and that was such an amazing character. Obviously the DMPC, very, very obviously, but still just a great character, not, something that they could keep around. So it was really great to have him come in and then, keep the party on track and then leave just in the nick of time for the party to actually do work.
And I did mention, but yeah, as Forge is fleeing the city, he shows up one more time, and he's the one that actually arrests Forge and puts him in.
And then puts him in prison. Yeah.
Good movie.
Yeah, no, that was really, really cool. The fight scenes, all really well done, I think, for the most part. We had some really good ones with Holga and Edgin. We had some solo Holga fight scenes, especially at the end in Neverwinter Castle and everything like that. The final fight scene with Safina was really, really cool. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I don't know if you picked up on this or anything like that, or like I said, if they meant it to feel like that. But that final fight scene, that it started off between Safina and Simon, with Edgin and Holga doing other little small things here and there, right?
Well, they're fighting the stone dragon.
They're fighting the stone dragon.
And they get put in the sphere.
In the bubble, and they roll away. So the fight scene starts out with mostly between Simon and Safina doing the battle of the hands and everything like that. But then eventually, like you said, it gets to a point where everybody is fighting Safina at the same time. And there comes a point in the battle where it's incredibly fast-paced, and you have characters doing things like, you had Egan swiping up and hitting her with the loot. You have Doric, wild shaping and attacking. You have Simon attacking. You have Holga attacking. And all these things are happening in like such quick succession, right? Like one after another in a turn order.
Yeah.
So it's like, we know how long rounds take, when you're actually playing. Everything's playing out very, very slowly, because you're like, oh, on my turn, I'm going to attack, and then I'm going to do this. I'm going to roll these dice, and this is what the attack does. And then the bard takes his turn. He does the same thing. Where in this, it was like so fast hitting that it was all like, oh, yeah, here's the combat. We're speeding it up.
I mean, yeah, if a round is 6 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. A round being 6 seconds.
Yeah.
That was a really, like I said, I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just made for a cool fight scene to show them, all having to work as a group to take on Safina. But that's what it felt like to me, which was kind of like hey, this is what your combat looks like when it's actually happening.
Right.
When we take out all the breaks and it's just your attacks doing what they do. I thought that was really kind of a cool little nod right there.
Mm-hmm. Well, my review of this movie, my score, has not changed. I think if you are not a fan, 7 out of 10, solid fantasy fic. 9 out of 10 if you're a big fan of D&D, because I really did love this movie, even for seeing it a second time. And if you wanted to go see it again tonight, I would, honestly. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I think I enjoyed it more the second time.
I would go see it again right now, yeah. And let's see, I gave D&D 2000 a 7.5, I believe.
Yes.
I gave that a 7.5, even through the nostalgia goggles and everything like that. So you gave this 2 ratings, one based on a non-D&D fan and one based on a D&D fan.
Correct.
So I would say, for me, as a non D&D fan, which I'm not, but if I was going to rate it like that, I would say high. I would say 8.5.
Holy dang.
Yeah,
That's
for
really good.
just a casual audience member, I would think.
And you've got good input on that because, like you mentioned, your wife is not a D&D fan.
Not a
D&D
fan.
This. I'm assuming you guys have discussed this.
And for me, it was a 9.5.
Yeah.
It just was. It was really, really good. And I think I said this to you. The only thing that I really told you after we watched it was like, this movie kind of reminded me of the OG Guardians of the Galaxy, the very first movie.
Yeah.
Because it kind of did have that feel, and they probably did that on purpose. They were trying to capture the early Marvel magic, I guess you would say.
Even if it's not that though, like you can only take a group of like washed up ragtag heroes or people and put them in a team together.
Yeah.
And really have that work the way they did. Now maybe there could definitely be some inspiration there with Chris Pratt's character Star-Lord being the very charismatic one and probably not as adept to combat as the other members of the team and stuff. Same here with Edgin.
Yep.
But
Holga and Gamora.
Just movie logic, your charismatic person is going to be the main character naturally.
Yeah, the head of the group.
And at a certain point, some of these pieces just fit into place, whether it's inspired or not.
Yeah, it just naturally works. And that's not saying it's a bad thing that it reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy, because the Guardians of the Galaxy was really good. It's its own little Spelljammer campaign.
Sure, yes. Nailed, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not saying that Guardians of the Galaxy is bad, because it is really good. It's the first one is one of my favorite movies. And this movie reminded me a lot of it. It's like a kind of a take on the formula, but hitting the things that I want to see more, which is Dungeons and Dragons content. And I think that it handled all of that really, really well, which is why I think that, like I said, my score for a non-D&D believer is pretty high, because it's
D&D believer.
It's a movie that you can just go into knowing nothing about Dungeons and Dragons and walk away with having a fun time. Like it being a fun movie.
Yeah, I'm really wondering if this is going to work and how many people are going to get into Dungeons & Dragons, or maybe even consider it, give it a chance they hadn't before because of this movie. I don't know. Maybe not everybody, but
I think a fair number of people are going to go into this with not having much knowledge, but be able to walk away with it being like, this IP is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, is it going to make people want to play D&D? I don't know. It's a movie, right? So how many people are going to want to play a game based on a movie? Some, arguably, but, we don't really know. I think that it definitely doesn't hurt the brand to have a really good, strong take on this. Like I said, because we had D&D 2000 and the ones after that were not great takes on the Dungeons & Dragons franchise.
If nothing else, I think this will help communication between players of D&D and non-D&D. When you've got your normies that are like, oh, what's D&D? That's the thing from Stranger Things, right? Now, if they've seen this movie, they're like, oh, that's okay with fantasy and stuff. That was a really fun movie. You play D&D? You're like, yeah. They're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it's just a little more understanding, because this is a great interpretation of D&D.
Yeah. And they didn't end it on a note that like heavily points to a sequel, I guess I would say. There was no cliffhanger ending as far as like expanded adventure or anything like that, which was, not necessary. Didn't have to be there.
Well, there was about partway through a moment where the Red Wizard of Thay, Safina, was speaking to Zastam, a known lich.
Yeah, so he still exists.
That wasn't, I don't think that was just a throwaway. I think they put him in there as a seed to where if this terribly flopped, they never make another one. It's just a one-shot, a wonderful movie, and we have it, and we can take the 2000 D&D movie, we can burn it and never speak of it again, and this is the D&D movie now. But if they want to move forward, a lich is a pretty cool bad guy to like lead towards.
Yeah, I think that's a cool thing to lead towards. And I like that they did it in the middle, and like I said, didn't leave us with a weird cliffhanger ending where there has to be a sequel no matter
definitely.
what.
You've at least concluded this story for the most part, but seeded a potential future.
Yeah, and I think that so far the showing seems to be pretty strong, which leads to believe that there's going to be more of these movies.
I hope so.
Yeah, I have no doubt that we're going to at least get a sequel. I wouldn't surprise me if we get a franchise out of this. We don't really know yet, but even the way they ended things, it would be really cool to see more stuff in this universe, even the same characters or even newer characters.
Good point.
I would like to see the return to this. It'd be great to see the old characters because the casting was like really, really great.
So good.
We had Chris Pine as the lead and Michelle Rodriguez, like we had mentioned before. They, carried a vast majority of this movie with their chemistry. Simon Justice Smith was really, really good. We didn't get as much from Sophia Lillis as Doric in this movie, which was kind of a shame because her character overall was really, really good. And I don't know why we didn't get too much exposition from her. I don't know if it's because it's a stoic druid type.
I think part of it is just because she was the druid.
Yeah, and like I said, with the druid, they don't have to have a big speaking part.
Well, most of her role, she's an animal.
Yeah, wild shaped.
Yeah, so it wasn't like Simon, where every time he's on scene doing something, it's him. It's just him going against these challenges. Or Edgin, it's talking his way out of a situation. Holga in a fight. She doesn't even have to speak to really just show like her character. Doric, being a druid, is her being an animal.
Doric was just a druid.
Being a mouse, being a bird, being a deer.
Yeah.
There's not as much room for speaking in those roles.
Yeah, it's just a shame because Sophia Lillis is a great actress, and I think she could have shined a little bit more with a little bit more. And maybe it was already a little bit of a long movie, so maybe some stuff got cut that we don't know about.
Sure.
But yeah, she didn't have as big of a part as everybody else. We already talked about Regé-Jean Page as Zenk, who stole every scene that he was in.
This man needs his own show.
Absolute perfection. He was great in other stuff like Bridgerton, I believe it was we've seen him in before. Really, really good actor, just really great. Hugh Grant as Forge played that perfect balance between the smarmy villain who's, smart but not ultra smart, just smart enough to get by but not smart enough to outsmart the good guys. But great role for him. Daisy Hedis Safina was really, really good. Just overall the casting on this was great. And would love to see him back. They were all super strong.
My favorite part of this movie was the cast at the end of the day. They really made this movie.
No, they really did, and it was excellent.
Well, I think that wraps up our spoiler cast.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to touch on?
No, other than go see it.
Yes, if you've listened to this whole thing and you haven't seen this movie, CJ, go. I'm looking at you, CJ. I'm looking at you from inside your ear, and I'm judging you for not watching this film yet. I don't care if you want to save money by watching it at home. Go see it at the theater so the box office return is high so they keep making more of these movies.
Yeah, we need to see more of this. So you be the hero. Go see this movie the way it's intended in the theater. The hero isn't Edgin. The hero is you.
And with that, I've been Tyler.
And I've been Richard.
And you've been the hero.
It was you all along.
But we've been True Strike. Hey, adventurers. Thanks again for joining us today. Please be sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcasting platform and YouTube. If there's any questions you'd like to write into the show, you can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram. New episodes release every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for listening to True Strike.